What happens when a dog bred for aggression discovers he was meant for something else entirely? This is Tony's story, a tale of second chances, unconditional love, and one gentle giant who proved that your beginning doesn't define your ending. Tony wasn't supposed to exist the way he does now. He came into this world in the wrong hands. Backyard breeders with criminal ties who saw puppies as products and toughness as the only trait worth breeding. At just 8 weeks old, still small enough to cradle in 2 hands, Tony was seized from that dark place. But freedom came with a price. A court case kept him locked in a shelter for 5 agonizing months. 5 months of concrete floors and metal bars. 5 months of sleeping alone in a kennel while other dogs around him howled through the nights. For a dog like Tony, who would grow to need constant touch, constant closeness, those months must have felt like a lifetime. Nobody knew it then, but this chunky puppy with the wrinkled face and worried eyes was destined to become something his breeders never intended. Pure, unfiltered love wrapped in a 70-pound package. The day they brought him home, the cats made their feelings crystal clear. They hissed, they scattered, they glared from high perches with unmistakable fury. And Tony, he was this massive, clumsy creature who hadn't quite figured out that not everyone wanted a face full of puppy breath at 6 in the morning. He moved through the house like a wrecking ball made of affection, knocking over water bowls and stepping on tails, completely oblivious to the chaos trailing behind him. Those first nights were rough. Tony paced endlessly across the hardwood floors, his nails clicking out an anxious rhythm that echoed through the quiet house. He whined softly, searching for something he couldn't name. He couldn't settle, couldn't rest. The stress radiated off him in waves, this desperate energy of a soul that didn't yet understand he was finally safe. Then, something shifted. About 2 weeks in, it was like someone flipped a switch inside Tony's brain. He stopped pacing, he stopped whining. He looked around the living room, really looked, and something in his eyes changed. You could almost hear him thinking, "Oh, this is mine now. That's my couch, that's my bed. These are my people." And from that moment on, Tony claimed every soft surface in the house as his personal kingdom. They lived in a small seaside town in Cornwall, where the salt air drifted through open windows and the beach stretched out just a few hundred yards from their front door. The first time Tony felt sand between his paws, the first time he realized he could run without fences or limits, something beautiful happened. He exploded into motion, ears flying, jowls flapping, that chunky body moving faster than physics should allow. Pure joy radiated from him. It was the kind of moment that tattoos itself onto your heart. He was finally free to be exactly who he'd always been meant to be. His family ran a small car restoration shop, and Tony appointed himself chief supervisor. Every single day, he trotted through the garage like he owned the place, weaving between tool chests and tire stacks. Mechanics would be lying on their backs beneath vintage engines when suddenly there was Tony's face, upside down, staring at them with those big brown eyes and that goofy smile. He didn't do much actual supervising, but his presence made everything better. Even the toughest days felt lighter when Tony was around. But for all his size and presence, Tony had the soul of an anxious toddler. A tape measure sent him diving behind the couch like it was a grenade. Wind, just wind, made him glance over his shoulder with genuine terror, convinced something sinister lurked in the darkness. He was bred to be intimidating, all muscle and mass, but Tony was soft straight through to his core. Gentle, goofy, completely useless for anything except being loved and giving it back tenfold. Every morning played out the same perfect way. Breakfast, a walk along the beach, and then Tony would pad back to the bedroom where his dad still slept. He'd crawl under the covers, burrow down until he was completely hidden, and press himself as close as physically possible. Just this enormous dog trying to become smaller, trying to merge into the warmth of another heartbeat. It was the sweetest thing.
this giant baby who refused to believe he was anything but lap-sized. If you've been thinking about giving a rescue dog a chance, hit that subscribe button. Their stories deserve to be heard, and there are so many more Tonys out there waiting for their forever homes.
One evening, Tony's mom walked into the living room and found her husband sitting on the couch, holding all 70 pounds of Tony in his arms, just staring at him, not watching TV, not scrolling his phone, just looking at their dog with this expression of pure wonder. "What are you doing?" she asked. He didn't look away from Tony when he answered, "I just love him so much." And in that moment, she had a realization that made her laugh out loud. Her husband might actually love this dog more than he loved her. They were inseparable, 1000% daddy's boy. And honestly, she didn't mind one bit, because Tony had brought something irreplaceable into their home: light, laughter, and a daily reminder of what unconditional love actually looks like. Tony became a bit of a local celebrity. People who didn't know his family by name definitely knew Tony. They'd stop mid-walk, eyes lighting up. "Wait, is that Tony? Oh my God, it's actually him." A woman who'd been terrified of dogs her entire life ended up on the floor with Tony in her lap, giggling like a child, because she said he was just so lovely. That was Tony's gift. He changed people simply by existing, by being his authentic, gentle, ridiculous self. Sometimes, late at night when Tony lay sprawled on his back, snoring like a freight train with his paws in the air, his mom would watch him and feel her throat tighten. She'd think about how differently his life could have gone if he hadn't been rescued, if no one had taken that chance on the chunky puppy with the sad eyes and the rough past. The thought was unbearable. But he was here, safe, loved beyond measure. Bringing Tony home was one of the best decisions they'd ever made. He came from darkness, from people who wanted to turn him into something hard and mean. But Tony proved something essential. Love heals. Love transforms. Your beginning doesn't write your ending. So, if you're thinking about adoption, whether it's a dog, a cat, or any creature that needs a home, don't overlook the ones with scars and stories. Don't pass by the ones who've seen the worst of humanity. They're not broken. They're not damaged beyond repair. They're just waiting for someone to show them what safety feels like, what home means. And when they finally find it, they'll give you a kind of love so deep, so pure, so absolutely unwavering that you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. Did you enjoy Tony's story? Smash that like button and drop a comment below. And here's a question for you. If you could ask Tony one thing about his journey, what would it be? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one.